Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Morning, everybody! I hope everybody is having a fabulous week so far. We have a lot to cover today, as usual, but this should be a little bit of a shorter video, give you guys a break. All right. Let's jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start with Princess Anne. Now, I showed you pictures the other day of her out and about, but I forgot to tell you where she was. She was at Durrell's Wildlife, Tortoise Takeover. That is an island-wide sculpture trail with colorful, inspiring, and thrilling works of art that leave people on the trail to see tortoises and their home on the island. For those of you who are unaware, Princess Anne, who's been supporting Durrell for 50 years. Yep. Still sticking with Princess Anne, this Twitter user put up this post that he was commissioned to take pictures of Princess Anne, who is patron of TransAid.org, and she visited the corporate supporter DP World UK, which is Southampton Logistics Hub. Now, when that was over, Princess Anne went to a housing development in Staple, and as her role as patron of the English rural, she went with Sir Timothy Lawrence. One resident brought her horse to be seen. Very nice. Next up, King Charles and Queen Camilla held a reception at Windsor Castle today to celebrate the work of William Shakespeare on the 400th anniversary of the publication of the very first Shakespearean folio. She was also seen with the Duchess of Gloucester. Vanessa Redgrave was there. Whew. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce, as usual, for the information on what Sophie was wearing. I love William Shakespeare. We know that Charles does. We already covered that earlier, and I think that probably was a really nice reception. Now, just as an FYI, Judi Dench was also seen there. I have to tell you, I also like a lot of Shakespeare's work, and to see a first and a second edition where you could literally reach your hand out and touch it, I'm sure must have been thrilling. I would have found it quite thrilling. I love these kinds of parties, you know what I mean? Whew, fabulous. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. He went to Bath Abbey for a graduation from university ceremony. He was greeted by Vice Lord Lieutenant of Somerset, Edward Allen. And apparently he's going to be there tomorrow as well. He has a lot to do. But you know me, if more pictures come out of this, I will post them. Moving on. All right, you guys, it's time for the annual swan upping. It's a census that they do on a particular stretch of the River Thames. Did I say that right, you guys? Right? It takes place once a year. They pull these swans out of the water. They weigh them. They measure them. They check for signs of injury, which could be caused by fishing hooks or fishing lines. The young ones are given individual identification numbers that, say who they belong to, if they belong to somebody. Now, they're saying that the king retains the right to claim ownership of unmarked swans swimming in open waters. Very cool. All right, next up, the Prince and Princess of Wales put out a thank you to all of the people who put in pictures for the Hold Still, project. Remember that one? By the way, that book made millions, and every penny went to charity. Yep. All right. Anyway, the National Portrait Gallery invited the photographers to come see the new gallery. I love that. All right, moving on. Jack Royston, who we know is a sugar, put out an article saying that Harry and Meghan are being papped more than ever. Really? Then maybe she should stop dialing the paparazzi. Remember, it was proven that she's the one who tipped the world to where she was staying when she was using Tyler Perry's house. He then proceeded to write another piece that said that she won because the press is scared over her pictures. Listen, Nobody's afraid of her. And this was obviously a setup article again, because supposedly she spoke to Jack Royston, who's a Sussex Squad member, but no, this wasn't arranged. And we're supposed to believe that she doesn't pap herself, the whole fake car chase thing. I mean, nobody's afraid of her. She's the least powerful person around. So I totally agree with Mystified. This article was put out to try to prove she didn't pap herself, when it's pretty obvious at this point that she has papped herself. I mean, give me a break. Now, moving on, we know that Meghan is trying to brand herself by herself. We know that she's splitting off from Harry. We've all seen it. We've all heard all about it. The problem is her solo ventures are thinning out. Supposedly, allegedly, she was in talks with Dior, but when it came out that she was called a grifter, Dior went, no. So here they are constantly defending themselves, and they're grasping for opportunities that don't exist anymore. Now, Tom Barrett came out and said that these solo ventures are not successful because Harry was supposed to be working on a Netflix documentary in Africa, while Meghan was supposed to be working with Dior. Now it's come out that Harry doesn't want to go to Africa unless Meghan goes with him. Meghan doesn't want to go there. Plus, people in Africa don't want her there. They have too much baggage. They've got too many problems. So supposedly Meghan was going to have a 3-year, $20 million contract with Dior, but Dior said, nope. There's no contract and no negotiations, and it's not on the table at this time. Well, what does that say to me? It was on the table. It got scrapped. My goodness. All right, let's move on to the whole Netflix thing now. Now, we know that in May, they canceled Pearl. We know that The Heart of Invictus was supposed to come out over the summer, and it hasn't. And the above tweet was put out that, Netflix canceled it. It never came out when it was supposed to. Now, of course, Netflix came out and said it's not been canceled, it's been pushed back. Could it be that because their docuseries cost Netflix 40 times more than normal, that maybe they're running out of money? So now Netflix will not give a date when it's going to be released. Every project these two work on seems to go south. Now, here's the other problem they're going to have. They need help. And now Hollywood is on strike. This is a double strike. You've got writers striking and performers striking for the first time in 6 decades. This is like the worst possible time for this, because people are still reeling from the COVID-19, and the profits under pressure from streaming are unraveling very faster, and the economics of the industry are very challenging. And now, without these people, Harry and Meghan's projects may not get off the ground, which would include The Heart of Invictus. Now remember, right after their docuseries, Harry and Meghan bought a project that had been done years earlier and put it out as their own, called Live to Leave. Because remember, lots of people came out and said that they had nothing to do with this project, and Harry and Meghan were not involved when they were involved because nobody wanted to be part of it. Anyway, they're saying it's going to be very hard to move forward with the strikes. So yeah, you never know what's going to go on with the rest of their stuff. So anyway, we don't know how this is going to impact their visit to Africa. Remember, supposedly they're going to go build houses in villages that they visit, and the cameras are going to follow them as they go to compounds and share medical education, like somehow they're qualified for that. Moving on. All right, articles are coming out saying Meghan made sure to acknowledge the camera when she went shopping. So therefore, her whole thing about, I'm trying to be anonymous, is kind of a joke. I mean, why acknowledge the camera? Why bring security? Why bring a dog, which is against the rules due to health reasons? They said that she's shopping as though she's still in the Netflix series. I mean, this article points it out exactly. So she's got a shoulder sack and designer shades and a bodyguard, and she's sniffing orchids and tasting honey rather than pushing a cart up and down the aisle at Lidl. All right, moving on. This article really just touched me because it's been 5 years since Thomas Markle has spoken to his daughter. He's never met his grandchildren. Hell, he's never met Harry. And they've just tossed him away. He's been gravely ill. He had a stroke. She was able to get on a jet and bring photographers to take pictures while she knelt at crosses for murdered children, but that she didn't even know in a town she has no connection to, but yet she couldn't drive 2 hours down the road to go visit her own father. So in the meantime, she's going on and she's waxing on about compassion and action. And let me tell you something, if Thomas Markle passes away without ever meeting those children, this will be unrecoverable for her. I'm telling you. But let's be honest, she threw the family away because she didn't want to have to show Harry that she was lying about the family, but that may be over now. And I'm saying that because the articles are coming out that the two of them are taking time apart because of the public backlash, their failed business deals, and public feuds with the family, on both sides, of course. Now, we've been hearing rumors and we've seen the signs all along that this marriage was just not going to last. So they're saying that Harry needs to go find himself, and this trial separation is the only way they can resolve their differences and go forward stronger than ever. No, he is trying to fund her in a lifestyle that they could never afford in the first place, and she's upset because people won't accept her as the Duchess, and their emotional issues or her issues have made life a living hell for him, and so he's finally like, we're done. So they said they're going to take time apart on different continents, and that will help them find whatever they need to move on. I mean, I think we know at this point she's going to take the children. She's going to go into court and say he's a drug addict and he's dangerous around the children, and she's going to try to get full custody. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. I mean, come on, guys. Do you guys remember seeing him being really aggravated at Cirque du Soleil? He put his tongue in his cheek here, and we found out later on he was aggravated because Meghan, had told him, like his mother, that she wanted to leave this earth, but she couldn't do it to him. Remember that? Do you guys remember this? At the Nelson Mandela, when they're holding hands, he tries to remove his hand, and she literally grabs it. Look at his face. He puts his tongue in his cheek, which is for him a sign of aggravation. We've seen this look before. How about later on? Look at his face. She can't let go of his arm. Look at his face. He looks so aggravated. Seriously. Now there's multiple instances of him looking miserable. From when he knew Meghan was lying in the chicken coop and he didn't say anything, to when he was trying to tape the Me You Can't See and she started talking, and you can just see the absolute aggravation on his face, like, oh my God, she's in there again. I've told you before, I think that they have been separated for quite some time, but it's out, you know what I mean? So now they have to admit it. Now, since this article came out, now I'm beginning to believe more and more that Harry probably did call William and was like, you know what? The marriage is going down the tubes. I need out. But you can't crap on your family for years and then expect them to help you clean up your mess, especially after everything you said and did to your family. Seriously. Now, even the Black Lives Matter group in the UK is now denouncing Harry and Meghan. So this one young lady was on Good Morning Britain with Jack Royston, the sugar, and she had a lot to say. So her voice is really soft. So take a look at the subtitles at the bottom of the screen.
First thing, they insinuated racism and then decided later on that they're going to get upset at the fact that people picked up on the insinuation. Then they decided to accept an award for fighting racism, even though they don't believe in said racism. Then they decided to backpedal when they realized they wanted their family back. And last but not least, the one that irks me the most is when they decided to use black people as a weapon, as a tool, when they needed support. That is my issue. All of those things make them. Let's get support from the black community. Let's talk about racism, and then 3 years later, let's say we didn't talk about racism. Seriously. They brought us on that journey with them, and then they just kind of dumped us at the end. You feel bitched. Yeah. So the first
Now, with that said, Kerry Kennedy, the one who gave them the award for the structural racism, came out to say something about what Robert Kennedy said, some recent remarks that he made. She came out and said, I condemn my brother's deplorable and untruthful remarks about COVID being engineered for ethnic targeting. His statements do not represent what I believe or what Robert F. Kennedy human rights stand for, blah, blah, blah. But interestingly enough, I noticed, and so did Sunshine Breeze, that she said nothing when Harry backtracked on saying they never called the royal family racist. She didn't speak up and say, I'd like my award back, because the award was for fighting racism in the family that you now say didn't occur. No, she said absolutely nothing. All right, here we go. Samantha Markle's attorney claims in court that Meghan Markle is most probably a sociopath. I have to agree. I agree. I mean, after all, she has been accused of bullying former aides. And he said in court, I'm not sure of her exact diagnosis. I don't know if she's a sociopath, a psychopath, a borderline personality disorder with narcissistic tendencies. I just believe that she's one of these. Now, for those of you who are unaware of what the difference is, this is somebody who shows no regard for right or wrong and ignores the rights and feelings of others. And somebody who purposefully makes others angry or upset and manipulates and treats others harshly or with cruel indifference, and they lack remorse. That describes her to a T. I gotta be honest, guys. I do believe that she has some mental health issues. I mean, obviously, but she'll never admit it. This is exactly what she's doing to her dad. She feels no remorse over the way she's torturing him. All right, we're going to end with some different pictures of Finn. He's very happy to be home. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you've already hit it, just double check and make sure that you are still subscribed. Don't forget to go up into the description box and get the link to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email. For those of you who've donated through the coffee fund and the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.